Well, you knew it was going to end at some point. You just didn't want it to end like that. Knicks lose to the now 21-46 Charlotte Hornets, 112-105. Benji Whitholtz is with us for this one. Hello, Benji. I would ask you how you're doing, but I think I know the answer. So
yeah, I'm all right.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
I've been better.
Yeah. This was annoying, and I wrote in the newsletter chat game day thread this morning. First line: why am I afraid tonight is a trap game? And I went through all the reasons why I shouldn't be worried about it. They've handled their business for the most part this year, and I said the one comp that I think comes close to a game that was truly a letdown game was the Spurs game after the horrendous last 90-second Mavericks loss. And looking at this game now and looking at that game then, see some similarities. Emotionally drained team and just like a drained team physically. That's what it looked like tonight. And then the other thing that I kind of worried about, and this was not similar to the Spurs game, but coming off of that emotional high of those two wins this weekend, Miami and Boston, and with the big West Coast road trip coming up, next 4 games, I didn't fear like a traditional letdown game, but just like kind of, all right, let's get this one out of the way. Let's move past it and let's get and handle our business, what we know is going to be a big trip for us. And you could tell when they went up, you could tell from the start of the game, there was, just the intensity, I think, on offense maybe wasn't there. They're getting good shots, they just weren't making them. You could tell when they went up 16 at halftime, when they came out in the third quarter, the intensity wasn't really there. And then after the bench, we're going to talk about the bench, gave them a nice jolt of energy at the end of the fourth and beginning of the third quarter, up by 9 points midway through the fourth. And then just down the stretch, just not quite having the extra gear to access. Disappointing, annoying. Annoying is probably the best word that I could think of to lose this game. It's not the end of the world. This team has obviously shown that they're resilient. They bounce back. They don't let these losses stick with them. But still, talking brass tacks, you want to stay in that 4-5 matchup, I think, if you're the Knicks. And this will not help that effort. Benji, what are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I think the San Antonio comp is a really good one. Man, 2 overtimes, couple players playing 50 plus minutes. You can't understate the impact that has 2 nights later. And I think you really saw that. And I think Quickly and Randall specifically having really bad games, who are the 2 biggest minutes getters, I don't think is a coincidence. I think that has to play a factor. And then you combine that with a third quarter in which I, for the first time in a couple of months, saw a team get beat to the ball.
Yep.
And not just because of fatigue, just because I think, as you said, I think they took these guys a bit lightly coming out of that. I think if they probably felt like we played a half decent first half and we went into half up whatever we were up
16, and we did our job, right?
We did our job, and they're going to go away. And I think that was kind of the attitude coming into the third quarter. And Charlotte, to their credit, played very hard and played very good defense, one-on-one specifically.
Absolutely.
And I think they just beat the Knicks to the ball the entire third quarter. Every rebound, the Knicks didn't close out the way they should have. Lazy with their passing, Julius specifically, just didn't have the requisite attention to detail and effort that, end of the day, lest the Knicks forget, is why they've become an elite basketball team. And I think that's the lesson learned. And hopefully this is a reminder in the midst of a 9-game win streak, when you're getting a lot of hot air blown up your butt from national media and everybody else. And rightfully so, they deserved it.
Yep.
But you have to remember, as a team, that what makes you really good is not that you make a lot of shots, because you don't. And it's not that you're going to out-talent other teams, because you're not. It's the fact that you rebound the ball better than anybody else. You don't turn the ball over. and you rotate with a reckless abandon and beat people to the ball, right? And like they just didn't do that tonight, and they learned the lesson. And I guess the last thing we got to say is, I don't know if we mentioned it yet. Oh, we did.
We have not mentioned it yet. I know what you're gonna say.
I'm gonna say that we didn't have Jalen Brunson on the floor.
Yeah,
and when things go south, this is the value that Jalen Brunson provides, maybe more than anything else, and he provides a lot of value in a lot of ways. How many times when you have a lead and the opposition starts making a run, does Jalen Brunson just decide, I'm going to get in the lane, I'm going to make a floater, and I'm going to calm it all down?
Yep.
And to not have that when things go south, and boy, did they go south in the second half. The team shot like 30% in the second half. So like you understand the value that Jalen Brunson provides on a night like this. And you've said it a million times, how many games they win without him. And this is a primary example.
Yeah, this might be the best game or the best piece of evidence, best singular piece of evidence we have for why Jalen Brunson, whether it's whatever your argument is, deserves an All-NBA spot, deserves some rogue MVP votes for anybody looking to fill that 5th place spot in their ballot. Some kind of designation, because for as wonderful as Julius Randle has been this year, and obviously he was not great tonight, Brunson has been the reason why this team has turned into what they have turned into when he wasn't there tonight. And like, look, Emmanuel quickly coming off the game of his life can do some really wonderful things. And again, I'm certainly not going to pile on him tonight because he's been the Knicks, again, unequivocally their 3rd best player all year. He didn't have it tonight. That's not on him, but he also is like, he can't do the things that Jalen Brunson could do because there aren't, I don't know, there are a handful of people in the league that could do the things that Jalen Brunson could do very specifically in the way you're talking about. Like, need a bucket to calm things down. Like, he's as good an option as any. You brought up Randall and Quickly together. They made a combined 10 of 33 shots from the field. So not what you want. It looked for a while like the saving grace was going to be RJ Barrett, who started off in the first half. I believe, what did he have, 17 in the first half? And something like 16 or 17 in the first half, something like that. 3rd quarter had some nice moments as well. Ended up with 27 points on 24 shots. Ended up going 1 of 7 from 3. Not really what you want. Overall, a good game from RJ, but you would have liked the halves to be inverted, I guess, right?
Yeah, I thought the first half was really good from a process standpoint. I thought he mixed his drives and his passing really well. And he just looked unstoppable going to the rim. And I think that Charlotte upped the physicality overall and on him, and they matched it. Like, RJ was just out physicaling them the first half. Could not stop him going to the rim. They brought a little more resistance in the second, and I didn't think he responded great. And I thought he forced up some really tough ones.
Yep.
I thought the challenge going back, that call was a big call in the game and a big reversal that I'm not, the replays that we saw didn't convince me it wasn't a foul.
I was shocked they overturned it.
Yeah, I was very surprised they overturned that. But that was an example where he pushed off Hayward. He tried to get a shot up. It wasn't a great look. Like, that was kind of the way his shots looked in the second half. Wasn't getting all the way to the rim. And that, this is high volume RJ will get you 27, and it's kind of a matter of how many shots does it take him, right? I think that's the issue. And when he's pegged into that 3rd role, then it's like, well, where do you fit in? And can you play off of 2 stars? And so that's the complicated question with RJ Barrett right now, is where he fits in. I think there have been a couple of games recently where he's found that balance and where he's been able to take over when he's got the bench unit and Brunson and Randall are sitting, and then kind of slot in, make some more shots off the dribble and attack closeouts, off the catch and attack closeouts. But he's still trying to find his role on this team, and it's been a struggle more times than not this year.
Yeah, for sure. Well said. Also, we've kind of alluded to it, but over the winning streak, the Knicks were definitely hitting a lot of threes. I don't think they've had a cold shooting game from 3 at any point during the streak. Shot 27.5% from 3 tonight. They made 11 of 40 from downtown. The Hornets only took 32 threes, but they made 12 of them. So 37.5%. Hornets ended up with 112. And 3 Hornets, by the way, over 23 points. Hayward with 23 on 17 shots. Rozier 25 on 22 shots, and then the Kelly Oubre Jr., who was a scorer. I don't know if you know that, Benji. Kelly Oubre Jr. could score the basketball. 27. I mean, not a lie. 27 points on 17 shots. So and look, you said it already. On the defensive end, give the Hornets credit as well for making some tough. They did make tough shots. They forced the issue. The Knicks, a lot of the threes that they missed were wide open threes. We could. Brunson was out. We could dance around and around and around it. Still not. It's not a great loss. And I guess the last thing before we'll do personal injury report and try to do a moment of the game before I let you go is the third quarter, end of the third, first several minutes of the fourth. The bench did bring the most energy that we saw all game. I'm sure it's going to come up tonight, so I'll just get it out of the way now. Did you think he should have left certain members of the bench in longer? And who? If so, who?
Yes, I thought Toppin and McBride both could have played more. And look, they're your 8th and 9th guy in this alignment. They just are, and I understand that.
And usually 9th or 10th, we should say.
Yeah, I'm saying right. With Brunson out, yeah, exactly. And I thought that their second half stint was the best the team looked, certainly in the second half.
Oh yeah, without question.
You look, plus minus is plus minus, but Toppin was plus 13, McBride was plus 8. Those are your two highest. Randall was minus 20 on the game, right? So, and you could just see it. Randall just didn't have it tonight. I thought he passed the ball well in the first half, but from what I wish Tibbs would do more often is assess it in real time. Randall, you could see from there was a possession with 3:34 left in the third quarter.
It was the third. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
But Randall literally just gave up on 2 closeouts. I think either he was frustrated by something or just totally gassed. But either way, as a coach, I wish he'd just read that in real time and say, well, now this is a good night to get my guy in. Toppin will give you the energy. Made a shot tonight. He just, I just thought, and Toppin played good defense on switches tonight. I just thought, plug him in. It's Charlotte, man. You can win with your second unit in this kind of game when your guy just gave you 50 minutes in a crazy 2 overtime game. Just read that in real time. I thought that was a bit of a miss. I said it at the time. I thought it was a miss, and maybe cost them a bit. And I thought Deuce was great tonight.
He was.
Deuce, both ends. Was maybe their best guard tonight. And
I don't think that's crazy.
No, I really don't. I thought he was really good and could have gotten an extended run. I understand you're trying to navigate the RJ Grimes Hart minutes. So it's a bit hard with your off guard to keep him in the game. So I blame Tibbs a little less for that. But on the Obi front, I just thought it could have been an earlier insertion and see where it takes you.
No disagreement. So, errors to go around. Speaking of Tom, he does say, if you either win or you learn. Hopefully tonight was a learning experience for everybody, including him. All right, let's do a quick personal injury report. We alluded to it already, but we will say officially, no Jalen Brunson tonight for the second game in a row. Of course, by the way, our personal injury report is presented by our friends at Weiss and Rosenblum. The law offices of Weiss and Rosenblum can handle your personal injury matter today. Call them at 212-366-6100. One more time, 212-366-6100, or visit weissandrosenblum.com for more information. If you think you have a case, call for an absolutely free consultation. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes, but if you might have a case, go with a veteran, not a rookie. Although tonight, I would argue the youngest guys on the roster were probably the path to success. Okay, so yeah, Jalen Brunson, I would assume he is going to be back for the Kings game. I would hope. If he is not out there for Sacramento, I will officially be worried. I expect him to be back, so I don't want to go crazy about that. All right, Lou, quick moment of the game. It's tough. I forgot what it was like to do a moment of the game and for a loss.
Yeah, I got nothing as far as moments. I found a couple, but all right, so what do you got?
I got 3, actually.
No.
One.
You maybe get to decide all 3 tonight, John.
I mean, I have 3. I got 3 down. One is after the Hornets finally took the lead, what got the Knicks back the lead was the Obi Toppin 3. That gave them 89 points. And it started, I believe, a 10-0 run for the Knicks, if not more than a 10-0 run. But that was a big shot in the moment. And then the last 2 that I have are both from Mitch. So the
Mhm.
Mitch putback to have them go up 100. I want to say I'll look it up right now. But it gave them the lead, and it was a big moment because they had missed, I think, multiple shots on the possession. Quickly missed a three, and then quickly missed a floater. Mitch got 2 offensive rebounds on that possession, and then the tip shot to put him up 100-97 with 4:19 to go. And then the last one was the Mitch steal, which we thought was going to be. I thought that was going to wind up being the biggest play of the game, and it led to. I think that led
was
to
it Julius layup?
Led to 2 free throws. No, maybe was there a foul? I think there's a foul on the other end.
Oh, I'm in the
I thought Josh Hart got fouled on the other end, but maybe I'm.
Yeah, maybe that was it. But but that was the one where like Jalen Brunson was up on the bench, like jumping around and celebrating. There it is. So Julius Randle made a driving layup to tie it after that steal. Then Gordon Hayward came down and gave.
Let me give one candidate I think deserves.
Sure.
I think Grimes' end of half reverse layup I think was a big play at the time. Felt big. Was a great play, and got the lead to 16 for God's sake.
That's the one I wrote down. I just maybe a personal feel out of this, but I don't have many nominations from the second half.
They stunk.
They stunk. Yeah. Shout out
So
DJ
replace.
Zulo.
So do you want to replace one of the Mitch ones with the Grimes
This is
basket to end
via DJ Zulo, one of the other film people here at Knicks Film School. 8 for 31 in the second half were the Knicks.
They made 8 field goals in the second half?
8 for 31 in the second half.
Seems bad.
Yeah, they scored 39 points in the second half. 45 were point. They scored 45 in the second quarter, and then 39 in the second half.
Seems bad.
They had 66 points at halftime, and didn't get to 106 points.
Yeah, it stinks. It's tough.
Yeah.
Jalen Brunson, get well soon. Benji, thank you for coming on and spending a few minutes to talk about this game. Would have been nice to get to 10, but alas, right?
Listen, sometimes we all just need to get knocked down a peg in order to evolve.
I like it.
That's my lesson of the day. And a happy Purim to everyone who celebrated before I go. It was a great day, and then not a great night. What are you gonna do? Can't win them all. All right, guys. Have a great night. Enjoy. Talk to you later.
Later,
Adios, man. All right. Andrew.
John.
Again, it's been the last loss that I was on for. It was Sixers game or the Clippers game. I forget which came first.
The Sixers game came second. You were here for it. That was a Friday night, and the next night, Josh Hart was introduced to our lives, and they hadn't lost since.
The Clippers, and then they beat Philly, they beat Orlando, and then they lost to the Clippers. But I mean, you want to talk about a team that really, it's not since the Lakers game have we really had to have like a negative. Well, let's see how it is tonight. I hope I hope the vibes are still decent.
You said it, and maybe I was just a little overconfident. And from talking to Richie and the comps to that Spurs game, it's even to the point where like you got a veteran coach that knows how to have his team ready, and the Spurs game was you're facing Popovich against a drained team, which is why if the Knicks had played Houston tonight,
I was about to
wonder
say,
if that was like that would like exactly what had happened, like the one the Knicks played Houston after the Spurs.
I was about to say, like, this is like, yes, there's always bad like the Hornets are not a good team, and I know LaMelo Ball was healthy when they won 5 in a row recently.
Mm-hmm.
But like even the other night in Brooklyn, like they went down by 20 some odd points against the Nets. Like they ended up making that into I don't want to say into a game, but like they didn't let down, they kept after it. But again, we're parsing out like tanking teams versus tanking teams. You're up by 9 midway through the fourth quarter in your own building against a team that has 20 wins. Win the fucking game.
Yep.
And they didn't do it.
They didn't. Ready to do this?
Yeah, let's do it. All right. Thanks everybody for being here and watching, and thanks in advance for being kind, I guess. I don't know what I'm thanking people for. All right. Neil Yarmain starts us off. Became a New York Knicks fan in college. smoking an eighth a day. Now the fucking Knicks have smoked an eighth of the season in a row. Smoke him if you got him. Hashtag 53 wins. Okay, I like that's good energy to start with, right? Totally fine with that. Jesse M. Oh my God. Yeah, Andrew told me this was coming before we went live. 430 tickets. $430 tickets down the drain. Thanks, Knicks. I had a bad feeling about this one today. Kevin Levitt, what's going on, Kev? Team looked gassed, and I don't blame them. Still love the team, and I don't want to hear anybody be negative after this game. I mean, yeah, it's like, what are you going to be negative about, right? You want to kill Julius for being clearly very tired. I can't. He's given them everything this season. He has played in every game this season. So yeah, again, quickly too. Quickly didn't quite have it tonight. I mean, the dude's been just unflappable, perfect in every way for 3 months. There was a little bit of a effort lacking there in the third quarter, but mostly I think it's more tired. It was more tired than effort. You want to kill Tibbs for, again, not leaving maybe the second unit out there for longer in the fourth quarter. Again, Benji said it's fair, but he's also gotten great production from the guys that he put in for pretty much the whole season, and it didn't work out tonight. So opened himself up to second guessing. Thanks, Kev. A.E. Kennedy, what's going on, A.E.? There's no blame tonight, but I think Tibbs could have rocked with the bench a little bit more. Starters were clearly gassed tonight. Yeah, 100%. It's funny because, like, they did go on that spurt at the end of the first half, because this was like they were up by like whatever they were up by 3, 4, 5 points, and then they just made that push at the end of the second quarter. I almost wonder if like that was what they had in them, like that push, but just to come out in the beginning, and in the beginning of the third. The other thing about the beginning of the third, right, is they were actually scoring baskets at the beginning of the third quarter. I like the stat that we got from DJ Zulo about 8 field goals in the second half. I kind of want to go back and look and see how many of those 8 field goals were in like the early going in the third. Here, I'm looking at it right now. Third quarter, 30 seconds into the third quarter, quickly made a driving jump shot. 10:52 to go in the third quarter. Randall made a 2-point shot. 10:20 left to go in the third quarter. Barrett makes a 2-point shot. 9:30 to go in the third quarter. Mitchell Robinson makes an alley-oop. So, yeah, maybe I don't know. That stat might be off because I'm looking at it. Unless they made like 2 field goals in the fourth quarter, I think they made more than 8 field goals in the second half. Maybe it was 8 for 30 in the fourth quarter. I think that's probably what it was. Maybe it was 8 for 30 in the fourth quarter. Okay. A.E. Kennedy, thanks, man. Appreciate you. Is Quentin Grimes done playing in the fourth quarter? Great streak. Can't complain. I don't think he's done playing in the fourth quarter. I think the Knicks just, they got Josh Hart. Red Sarachek. Sorry. I'm still thinking about the 8 for 31 thing. No, I think Red Sarachek, thanks for the question. I think there'll be moments. Tonight could have been a moment. Benji said on the playback that he made a good point that like they could have used the additional shooting out there, because with Hart and RJ, that's not loving your spacing. And then quickly, so quickly your best shooter out there in those lineups, because it's Randall and Mitch. So it's a little cramped, when you don't have Brunson out there. I don't know. It's a good question. I do think he's definitely fourth on the depth chart amongst the Barrett, Quickly, Hart, Grimes foursome. And most nights, when Brunson's healthy, only 2 of those guys are going to be out there. So maybe, I don't know. Maybe he is done closing games. We'll see. Thanks, Red. Juanon, what's going on, Juanon? Thanks as always for the generous contribution. Well, that was fun while it lasted. Feel free to complain after tonight. Yeah, complain. Gonna hang up and listen now. Hashtag 53 missed opportunities. Definitely puts a little pump the brakes on the 50 wins talk, right? I was all, if they had won this game, I would have, even if they had won this game by a point on like a miracle shot at the end, I still would have gotten up here and I would have been like, all right, here we go. 50 wins. It's coming. Let's go. But now, tough West Coast trip coming up. That's all I will say. Tough West Coast trip coming up. Sam Garcia's dad, what's going on, man? I know they should have won this game, but they were due for a loss, and this was an obvious letdown game. On to Sacramento, hashtag 53 wins. Should they? Yes, yes. In the most general sense, yes, they should have won this game. The way they played, and how Charlotte played, should they have won this game? No. It's like, and there were a lot of moments, for as much as I kind of, there was a part of me that does want to praise, Hayward had a good game, and Rozier had a good game, and Obrey had a good game, and these guys are professional, good NBA players. To say nothing of, who am I forgetting? PJ Washington didn't have a great game tonight, but he's a good player. He's going to get paid a lot of money this summer. For as much as they have those guys and they're respectable, Charlotte also showed you why they came into tonight with 20 wins. They have issues. They don't have great depth, which is, I do think that was part of the reason why the bench units were successful, or the bench unit was successful, at least a little bit. And they had a lot of, there was a moment there in the fourth quarter where we blew an opportunity on the offensive end, and then Charlotte came down and they had two phenomenal looks from three, and they didn't make either of them. And I was like, okay, maybe that's the moment we look back on. It was with 5 or 6 minutes left in the fourth. And I was like, maybe that's the moment we look back on. And I was thinking to myself, well, that's why they have 20 wins. But they made enough shots down the stretch. A couple tough shots, Rozier, Hayward. Those guys are good. Those guys make, $22 and $30 million respectively for a reason. Thanks, Sam Garcia's dad. Appreciate you, man. Kevin Danishevsky, what's going on? Yep, JB is needed. Get well soon, my guy. The team looked exhausted. Last year game from Julius, loud reminder that he needs a settling influence on the floor. So here's the funny thing. The energy from Julius was not there. You could argue all night. You could argue it was not there all night. Only got to the foul line. We said this on the playback that we did. Let me double check this before I say something that's incorrect. Randall got to the free throw line 6 times. 2 of those were technical free throws, though. So he really only got to the line 4 times. He was definitely more settling for outside shots. The pushback that I'll give you on the last year game from Julius, I thought Julius's passing, especially in the first half, but even at points in time, I feel like in the third quarter, but definitely in the first half, I thought Julius Randle's passing and his process on offense was pretty outstanding. He just wasn't making shots, and again, the energy level was a little bit, but the energy, it was glaring in the third quarter that the energy level was low. But I don't know. I don't think it was a last year game from Julius. But yeah, we need Brunson back. 100%. We need Brunson back. Thanks, Kev. Colin Reardon, what's going on, Colin? How are you? This kills the vibe so quickly. They're easy to regain, though. Just don't let one loss turn into 2, into 3, et cetera, et cetera. I think a forced Julius relaxed day is needed. We are 67 games into the season. He has played every game. I struggle with this because I am sure, I have to think, playing all 82 is a point of pride for him at this point. Even if we get to the end of the season and God willing, the Knicks will have something wrapped up maybe by the final weekend where they don't need to go full tilt. Julius plays, Julius starts, maybe Julius plays 5-10 minutes and that's it. And it's he's kind of earned the right, I think, to do that if he wants to. As far as letting one loss turn into 2, 3, etc., I don't want to be the one to say this out loud, but they did win 8 games once before the season. Obviously, they won 9 straight here. They won 8 games earlier in the year. And then they lost 5 straight. Now, I think the team is playing much better right now. The team is better right now because they have Josh Hart. So I am not worried necessarily about that. However, like I don't think I'm saying anything out of turn here. The Kings will be favored against them. The Clippers will be favored against them unless the Clippers like sit Kawhi or Paul George like they do sometimes. I don't think they've been doing a lot of that lately. The Lakers game, I mean, the Knicks will probably be favored against the Lakers because LeBron's not playing, but like the Lakers have been playing decent ball lately. And then after that, it's Portland in Portland, so, never an easy place to play. Got to deal with Dame. Dame's been lighting up. So like, it's weird to say it about a team that just won 9 games and is the talk of the entire league. And people are talking about like, oh my God, is this a stealth, like, could they win multiple playoffs? Like to go from that talk to like in the span of less than a week being like, oh my God, are the Knicks in serious trouble? I'll say one of my favorite quotes from one of my favorite movies. Life comes at you fast. So yeah, they better. I'd be very curious to see how they come out against the Sacramento team that is scoring the ball at will. They can't stop anybody, but they're scoring the ball at will. Thanks, Colin. Kevin with another one. Reminded of the Orlando game last year, but we have Jalen Brunson back. Which Orlando game? Because we lost 2 Orlando games last year. Neither of them were great. I was at one of them. That was not fun. This you could, I don't know. Like, did this remind me of a game from last year? Like in a big, they had a 16-point lead at half and they lost, and they had a 9-point lead in the fourth quarter. Middle of the fourth quarter, they lost. So from that sense, like, yes, it does kind of remind you of a game from either last year or the beginning of the season. But again, no Brunson and team was exhausted. So, thanks, Kev. Dan Hidalgo. What's going on, Dan? IQ was a little too unselfish tonight. Maybe just tired. Side note, I counted at least 3 separate times Quickly and Hart were in the same corner. I credit to you for pointing that out. I didn't notice anything in particular on that in that sense. But yeah, but again, that to me speaks to like a lack of full mental engagement. Quickly shot 16 times tonight in 35 minutes. He was 5 of 16. 10 threes. I liked the idea behind the play that what was, I guess, going to be a quick 2, right? That missed. And then, oh, that's right. They were down by 3. They were down by 5. Then they went down by 3. It was offensive foul, I think, or a turnover. Yeah, it was offensive foul that I think Josh Hart drew maybe. And they had a great opportunity to get a quick 2 and then go be down by 1 with like more than 24 seconds remaining. And I thought Quickly, like, good intention, good drive, but it just wasn't a great look. And he tried to draw the foul and, didn't get the call. And then Randall got called for the offensive foul. You could argue maybe, but again, it's tough. Was he unselfish or was he trying to be a good teammate because he knew he didn't have it and he wanted other guys to? I don't know. Thanks, Dan. Will Oliver, woof. But they're allowed a bad one. On to the next. Again, you never want to give up any game. You never want to give up any game, especially in a situation like this where I know it didn't feel like we had this when they were up by 9 in the fourth, but like, important games coming up. That's all I'll say. Important games coming up for this team because they're all important. They really are. When you're at this stage and you're trying to do what they seem to be trying to do. Thanks, Will. Neil with another one. Wally Zerbiak announced during a win streak. Oh man, yeah, Wally. I'm very grateful that we have Breen and Clyde as our A team. That's all I'll say. Shout out to them. Thanks, Neil. Appreciate you. Anthony Strano, the refs were absolute garbage tonight. Those no calls on Hart and IQ were effing jokes. My biggest issue as far as the refereeing went was the overturned Hayward foul call on Barrett. And like, even that, I think, like, I said it in the moment. I was like, I didn't think it was a foul, or rather, I didn't think it should have been called a foul in the moment. I think it's like but looking at the replay, I was like, they don't have enough to overturn it. So I guess even by that stance, like, it's kind of hypocritical of me to be like, it was the wrong call. Because again, looking at it in the moment, I was like, that's not a foul. I just didn't think they had enough to overturn it, and they did. I don't know. I'm not. Again, you lost to a team that has 20 wins. It's March. You can't blame the refs. As bad as they might have been. Busy, what's going on, Busy? It's just one game, and overall, I'm okay. With where this team is headed, but allow me to vent a little during these super chats. Vent away. Okay, here we go. I'm ready. I'm prepared. I'm stealing myself for whenever it comes. It hasn't come yet. Frank Miranda, what's going on, Frank? What's up, Mac? It's your boy, Frank. I saw a crazy stat today. Every year the Knicks have had a double-digit win streak in their history. They won at least one playoff series. There that goes. Randall turns into a pumpkin when Jalen Brunson doesn't play. Well, first of all, Frank, there's still a possibility they could win 10 straight, right? Still enough games to do that left. I'm not counting on it though. Yeah, I mean, there's the other stat. They only 2 times in their history previously they had 2 8-game winning streaks in the same season. They won the NBA championship. So look, I've tried to be pretty consistent about this, even after the Boston game. I was like, yes, this team could win it could beat anyone in a series. I still fear Milwaukee a lot, but I thought they could beat anybody in a series. And at the same time, I'm sure I said at one point during the Boston game, and they could still lose to Cleveland in the first round. And like, I believe that then, and I believe that now. I think they will play a lot better against Cleveland if they do face Cleveland in the playoffs, which I hope they do. And especially since they'll have Jalen Brunson back. But they just, like Benji said, that this is not a team that can out-talent you. They're not going to outshoot you. They win because they outwork you. And we saw what happened when they did not outwork a team tonight. So there you go. Dom Cappuccini, simply tired legs and no Jalen Brunson, or reality check. I think it's much closer to tired legs and no Jalen Brunson. I don't think this team, look, the team is good. This doesn't change the fact that the team is good. But they do, I'll say this, even with the Boston game, and again, give Emmanuel Quickly, and not only Emmanuel Quickly, give RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickly all the credit in the world, because RJ came out in the first quarter and set the tone against a tough Boston team that came out like they meant it. And that was big early, and then quickly brought him home with just the game of his life that I think he's capable of having again. But so, like, yes, they overcame the loss of Jalen Brunson in that game. It does not mean that they could do it regularly. And this team is still, for as deep as they are also thin. Like, they need all of the guys. Like, they need Jalen Brunson. They need Mitchell Robinson. They need Julius Randle. They need Josh Hart. They need Emmanuel Quickly. And they need RJ Barrett. Like, they need all of these guys. And for as much as Obi and Deuce were very helpful pieces tonight, like, if you're relying on Deuce McBride and Obi Toppin to win you a basketball game, like, think about that for a second. I mean, again, I'm not saying that wouldn't have been a better move. I think it would have been the better move to keep those guys in there for longer. But, yeah, so they need all their guys, and they got to play hard and have energy. Jessica, what's going on, Jess? I was worried about this one. Yeah, you and me both, Jess. You and me both. I can't underestimate any team. A few good things. Hart was a force. Yeah, he always is. Obi had good energy minutes. Yes, he did. And great moves from Deuce. Yeah, I mean, Deuce, man, This might sound crazy. I think I'm leaning to we haven't talked about him much. I actually thought Mitchell Robinson had a really strong game. He was -8, but it's telling to me that he was -8 and Randall was -20, Quickly was -15. And there's only a 3-minute difference between Robinson and those two guys. I thought Robinson had a really good game, but Deuce is going to get a star. I don't know if he's going to get 2 stars. I don't know if he's going to get 1 star, but he's going to get a star. Probably Hart gets the other one. Maybe Obi, though. I mean, Obi was, I don't know, it's kind of tough. He was 1 of 4 from the field, but we'll see. But yeah, Deuce is definitely going to be one of the stars of the game. Frank Luciano. What's going on, Frank? How are you? Thanks to you for the generous contribution. I wanted to be upset about the calls at the end of the game, but it should not have been that close for the refs to be a factor. Completely agree. There was no fire and desire tonight, and we played down to Charlotte. When there was fire and desire, I do think, again, I thought their process coming out of the gate was fine. I think they were flat, and I think because they were flat, they were missing shots. I thought their defense was fine. They gave up, I think, 21 points in the first quarter, and they gave up 50 points in the first half. I don't care who you're playing. If you play a half and you're on pace to give up 100 points to a team, you're doing fine. The fire and desire was there to close out the first half. Go up 16 points into halftime. You'll take that every day of the week, especially when you're missing all kinds of open threes and open shots in the first quarter. The first half is fine. It was after halftime. It was after halftime. And then, yeah, that was all that did it. Sam Garcia's bong water. That's good. I like that. It's appropriate for tonight. Gurgle, 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 blurp, blurp. Well done. Soggy Buns. What's going on, Soggy Buns? How are you? Thank you for the generous contribution. No JB, and they looked spent, but silly mistakes and stagnant offense reminded me of earlier in the year. Hopefully, this is just a road bump for a physically and emotionally spent team. Yeah, the thing I keep going back to, and people keep kind of alluding to it, I wonder if tonight was more emotionally spent or more physically spent. I mean, for Randall in particular, Andrew types yes in the chat. Yeah, I think it was probably both. But definitely Randall, just not a lot of no legs under his jump shot, for instance. I don't think RJ looked physically spent. RJ looked fresh as a daisy. Quickly physically. So let's say Quickly and Randall, those guys, I think, physically, which again, you're relying on those guys to be 2 of your top 3 offensive options on a night like tonight. So when they're pretty clearly physically spent, that's an issue. And then emotionally spent, I think that was a collective thing, for sure. Sam Garcia, what's going on, Sam Garcia? Shout out to your bong water. The RJ experiment needs to end after the season. Oh my God, Sam coming with the energy. No, look, RJ had a great first half. He had a really nice first half. The Hornets, as Benji said, upped their physicality. They defended him better. And he did not, respond to that great. I know you're not making it about this game, but I'm not doing any of these sorts of proclamations after a game like this. JBRI, what's going on, JBRI? Thank you for the generous contribution. This team needs one. I love this comment already. This team needs one elite performance from someone every night. Usually they get it. Tonight, they didn't. Brunson's high percentage shots are so critical to their success. Still a lot to be excited about. Let's freaking go Knicks. My favorite comment of the night. Thank you, JBRI. And it reminds me of something that I've said at least once recently and probably more than once recently, which is that, sure, they may be a team without a superstar, but they sure seem to get a superstar performance every night, whether it's from Randall or Brunson, who kind of take turns being the superstar on that given night. And oftentimes, even when one is being the superstar, the other guy's pretty good still. It against Miami. You know, like Randall was the superstar that night. Brunson, still pretty damn good. And then, of course, in Boston, it was quickly starting to be the superstar. So, like, and to be fair, there has been times when RJ has been, I don't know about superstar, but he's been very, like, certainly star level. So that's 4 different guys that they have that are capable of delivering big time performances. Tonight, one of those guys was not in uniform. One of those guys delivered that level of performance for a half, and the other 2 guys did not deliver that level of performance at all. You know, and like we're talking about, again, we're sitting here, we're talking about, could you have given Deuce McBride more minutes? Could you have given Obi Toppin more minutes? Obi Toppin, 1 of 4 from the field. Deuce McBride, 3 of 5 for 7 points. But, like, you know, is that the horse you wanted to hang your wagon on? So good call by you, JBRI. And correction. Oh, okay. All right. So the 8 for 31 in the second half, that was specifically RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickley, and Julius Randle. Overall in the second half, the Knicks were 14 of 47 from the field. And I do actually want to go back one more time, because if RJ Quickley and Julius Randle were 8 for 31 in the second half, which I believe that, they made they made their first 2 shots. No, sorry. Hold on. Looking at the first quarter. They made their first 1, 2, 3 shots from the field. So that means in the second half, after the first 3 shots, they were 5 of 28 to finish the game. RJ, Emmanuel Quickley, and Julius Randle. And they were 2 of 17 in the fourth quarter. Well, there's your ball game. There's your ball game. Okay. Red Sarachek with another one. Thank you again, Red. You got to help me out here. MUSOTN brought to you. Oh, what is this? I don't know what this MUSOTN. Andrew, help me out. Brought to you by Rosenblum, Weiss. New York Knicks are 3 of 16, 3 and 16. Oh, here comes most underrated stat of the night.
Not most underrated, made up stat of the night. That's
made up stat of the night. Made up. I should know that by now, because Red's been doing that. Now I'll know for next time. How about that?
There you go.
I'll know for next time. Again, I'm not quick on the upkeep. Made up stat of the night brought to you by Rosenblum, Weiss. The Knicks are 3 and 16 since 2004 when Fat Joe's at MSG without Tracy Morgan going for a 10th straight win. Makes you think. I'm not gonna lie, I was worried with the celebrity showings tonight. It's a lot of B-list celebrities. No offense against Fat Joe. Sorry. Thanks, Red. Dom Cappuccini with another one. Dom, you're too much. You really are. Thank you. Brooklyn win and Miami win last night. A gentle reminder that the play-in could still be a possibility if they don't answer with a 2 or 3 game winning streak. Good luck in Sacramento. I'll be asleep. See you guys on here on Sunday night. Yeah, I've said it a few times already, and I'll say it again. It's amazing already. Big game now, right? It's a big game. I'll say this. Miami and Cleveland play the next 2 games against each other. Miami and Cleveland play back-to-back games, I think, in Miami, or they're pretty sure they're both in Miami. Wednesday and Friday. And then after that, I believe Cleveland has back-to-back games in Charlotte. So I don't know, Knicks fans. Who are you rooting for in those games? You rooting for Miami? You're rooting for Cleveland? Or you rooting for a split and just say I throw my hands up? But yeah, the Nets aren't going away either. I saw a tweet before that leads me to believe that I was about to say the New Jersey Nets won tonight. Yes, they did, because they played the Hornets and not the Hornets. Freudian slip. The Rockets, and the Rockets stink. Yeah, they won 118-96. So nothing is over. Nothing is over. Let's get that right out of the way. Zach Horowitz, what's going on, Zach? Being gassed and no Brunson was a rough combo. Kind of impressed they came so close to winning. 2 less trash calls late and maybe a win on to Sacramento. Let's freaking go Knicks. I appreciate you taking the positive attitude there. I do. It's a little bit too much for me to say I'm really impressed they came so close to winning. That said, like, for them to have overcome the shooting, that second half shooting display from their top 3 guys without Jalen Brunson would have been a lot. That would have been a lot. It would have been a lot to ask. So, I don't know. I don't know where I stand. But, yeah, they're only a game up on Brooklyn now, which is not great. And maybe Brooklyn's not going to go away. We'll see. Thanks, Zach. Okay, here comes Busy. Busy's got some takes here. First of all, thank you as always, Busy. Your generosity always astounds me, especially since we often disagree on things. But let's go. Thank you. During my first town hall, I complained about this team's offense, and the KFS crew was content to tell me a lot of offenses around the league play similar offense. There was seemingly a contentness to adopt styles from other teams. Okay. Well, and thank you again, Busy. Well, you know what else other teams do is load management. We know if Julius Randle is available, Tibbs is going to ride with him. He was winning the no Julius Randle minutes in the second half and wouldn't have had to worry about bad minutes if he was resting. Okay. Thank you again, Busy. This is all from Busy. Meanwhile, we had the team that we played a double overtime thriller with rest 3 guys and was still able to take a solid Cavs team to overtime and should have won if they made their free throws. I'm going to push back on that a little bit, but let's keep going. Another one, Busy teams rest players because they're more concerned with winning playoff series than individual regular season games. At what point do we become that? I'll answer that too in a second, but I think there might be one more, unless this is it. Okay. Here's my answer to that. For one, I think it is at least important to acknowledge that Tatum did seem to suffer a legitimate injury in the Knicks game. And that is why he sat out the game against Cleveland. Al Horford is 30. I don't know what Al Horford is. Al Horford's very old. Al Horford's very old, and he's been sitting out back-to-backs all season. So he was always going to sit out the Cleveland game. And by the way, Al Horford not being there in the Cleveland game, I think, is the difference. I watched the entire second half of the Cleveland game and a little bit of the first half. I think you could easily argue that Al Horford is the reason that they lost because, like, their centers had open shots, both Cornette and Muscala, and they weren't hitting anything, and they weren't getting the rebounds, and they were being badly outplayed. So I think you could argue that if Horford played that game, that they would have won the game. Now, should that make a difference? Which gets me to the bigger point that you're alluding to, which is other teams are worrying about making a run all the way, and we're worrying about winning regular season games. I think it's a tough line to walk, a tough tightrope to walk when you are a Knicks team that is not like they don't have the recent track record in terms of recent seasons that Boston has, that Milwaukee has. I'm trying to think of that Philly has. And yet, by the way, like Philadelphia, I saw a tweet before. It was from Bobby Marks. Go check out. And again, like Joel Embiid does sit. So I get what you're saying. Like Joel Embiid has played a ton of minutes the last couple of games, but he also sits games. Like he sat the second Miami game a week ago. So like it allows them to push him more. The issue, I think, is this. They have been trying to established themselves, and I think they've done that successfully, as one of the better teams in the league, which is something that none of us thought that they were going to be able to do. They did it. They had people talking about them as a potential team making a run deep into the playoffs. They have needed everybody to do that. Because, and again, this is what I was alluding to earlier. Yes, they have depth. And like 1 through, you could argue like 1 through 7, 1 through 8, somewhere around that, 1 through 6, 1 through 7, 1 through 8. Somewhere there's an argument that like they are maybe the argument is this. Maybe they're like all together when you consider 1 through 6, 1 through 7, 1 through 8. They're deeper than, or as deep as any team in the league in just quality. Like they never put a bad rotation player on the floor. They never put anybody on the floor that could get exploited. All that being said, they are like, they need all of those guys. So the notion of like resting Randall and the notion of like resting Brunson and the notion, like, I guess those are the two guys, right? And by the way, I think they're kind of listening to you with Brunson. Really, this is just a Julius Randle discussion, is it not? Because Jalen Brunson said earlier this season, if I could walk, I could play. Well, we saw him, what was it, a month or so ago, whatever it was, I forget, when he sat out, I think a game or two. Like he could have played in those games. He didn't. I forget when those were. And then, you know what it is? I think I might be thinking of the West Coast trip. So what was it? Dallas, the three Texas games, right? He was warming up before those games. He sat him out. And now he sat out these 2 games in a row. No MRI, no treatment other than, or no, like he's resting, right? So like, I think they're doing what you're asking for with Jalen Brunson. I don't get the sense that like RJ's or anybody else on the roster is tired. Quickly was tired tonight because he played 55 minutes 2 games ago. Now you're telling me they should have rested Quickly tonight? Quickly's 23 years old, and like every Knicks fan and their mother was clamoring for Quickly to get more minutes. Not too long ago. 2 games ago, we played against Miami. He played 21 minutes. So like, should they have like sat Quickly? Like, really, I think this is a Julius Randle conversation. And I think this is certainly a conversation we've been having for years, which is like, extend Obi a little bit more. Tonight, I do think there was some validity to it because, as Benji said, it felt like he could have gone with Obi a few more minutes. He clearly was the more energetic player. That said, and this is the last thing I'll say on this, and I appreciate you bringing it up because, again, it's fair. Randall is about to make his second All-NBA team, I think, barring a real downturn at the end of the season. He carries a lot of weight. And I think if Julius Randle is of the position that, like, if I could play, I want to play. I just, like, here's what I'll say. I'm not sure how that conversation is supposed to go. Like, as an organization, you're supposed to force him to sit down. I guess Busy, your answer would be yes, right? You're supposed to force him to sit down, even if he doesn't want to sit down. I understand that sentiment. At the same time, I've been in a lot of, whether it's on the Substack app or in like DMs or just texts, or like a lot of chains where people this season, and especially over the last several months, have been like, you know what I love about this team? We go out and we play. If guys could play, they play. And you look around the league and you look at the inconsistency and you look at like what's going on with the Clippers and you look at what's going on. I mean, that's the most obvious example, but like there are other teams too, where like guys who are healthy enough to play don't play. And like a lot of those teams are struggling. And, you brought up Boston, and I it's like Jason Tatum. Go look at like Jason Tatum's minutes this year. Like, yes, I know Jason Tatum has missed 5 games, but those have all been legitimate games. He is playing. He is pushing it. They are pushing it. And it's not just Boston. Like there are other teams where guys are pushing it. Okay, so this is the last thing. I think it was. Oh, Steve Clifford. That's right. The Hornets coach said before tonight's game, somebody asked him about like load management or like, minutes and this and that in context of Tibbs. And Steve Clifford, who again, he's a Tibbs guy. They're great friends. So take it with several grains of salt. But he did say, like, there's a whole lot of coaches in the league who do this. Play guys like every game that they could play and play them a lot of minutes. Tibbs just gets shit for it because he has a reputation. Now, is that totally true? I don't know. But I do think that there is some validity to it. So obviously, look, I'm biased. I appreciate the fact that when guys can play here, they play. That said, let's see what happens in the playoffs. Are they going to look gassed in the playoffs? Are they going to lose in the playoffs because they look tired? I don't think that's why they lost 2 years ago to Atlanta. I just think they lost because they weren't as good. Maybe you'll be proven right this playoff situation, this playoff time around. But if they get the play-in week off, which we hope they do, I think they'll be all right. Okay, that was fun. Dom, back with another one. Dom, you're too much. I keep saying it. Oh, playback was a great experience all in all. I look forward to it in the future. Yes, I look forward to having you there in the future. Good night and good luck out west. Please don't fall out of the top 6. I really don't want to fall out of 5. But yes, that is at this point, that is the bare minimum. Do not fall out of the top 6, at any point. But yes, let's stay to 5. Red Share Check with another one. You're trapped on a desert island for a year. You can either have Bill Pino doing MSG 150 on loop or Jericho Sims sitting there dead silent. Who are you taking? Oh, Jericho Sims dead silent. And that's not a knock on Bill Pino. I don't want to listen to anything on loop, 1. And 2, I am someone I'm totally fine with like silence. I don't need conversation, which is funny because I get on here and I talk for 2 hours after every game. But yeah, I wouldn't mind the silence. RJ team felt like we missed 2 potential dagger threes in the middle of the 4th by Obi and RJ with 6 minutes left. I know the possession you're talking about. I completely agree. And then Randall came in, completely lost it. Yeah, there were moments. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I even said it during the playback. There was a moment in the 4th where I think maybe it's the possession you're talking about, and they got the offensive rebound. That's why they had the 2 shots at it. I think if they made one of those, correct me if I'm wrong, but they would have gone up by double digits. And they never got that double-digit lead. And that, in the moment, felt big. In fact, what the hell? We could look it up now real quick. But, yeah, I'll look that up as we get the next super chat up here. Dom Cappuccini with another one. Dom. Yeah, seriously, Dom. Thank you, man. Oh, by the way, Rick from BuzzFeed was right. The Hornets defense is much better than when we last saw them. Strong rim protection at the end. I'm serious now. Off to bed. Okay, get some sleep, man. I was really impressed with the Hornets defense on the 4th quarter. And I'm sorry, it was Rich from BuzzBeat. Not Rick from BuzzFeed. Rich from BuzzBeat. But yeah, I like they. Again, I'm not shocked by this because it's Steve Clifford, and Steve Clifford knows how to prepare a basketball team. But like, those guys knew what they were doing on defense down the stretch. Like they knew where to be, they knew what to do, they knew what actions they needed to stop, they knew what New York wanted to do. They weren't going to let New York do what they wanted to do, and that was big. That was absolutely big. Okay, here it is. 7. This is from the previous commenter. Knicks had RJ 3 and an Obi 3. They were up 97-89. There was a Josh Hart offensive rebound in between those 2 misses. If they made either of those, they would have gone up 100-89. Missed both. Big shots. Zach Horowitz, Tibbs in the locker room. Was that fun? winning is still more fun than fun is fun, in case anybody was wondering. Robert Cross, I did not know if we were going to hear from you tonight, man. It's your boy, John. I didn't have my normal energy tonight after the Boston game. I'm sorry I let the team down. Good to see all the KFS people in playback. Hashtag 53 wins. One more loss, Robert. That's all you got. And then no more leeway. Isaac Dowick. Mac, what do you think of Wally on the call? Trying to bait me here. That's bait. Here's what I'll say. I'll try to take the easy way out. The Knicks have had like a lot of great players in their history, and the Knicks have had, and there are a lot of great like color guys in the league that do color commentary. Wally is a former player, so he doesn't have a history in broadcasting. And so he's not like naturally a great color guy because he doesn't have that history. And he also has no history with the Knicks. He's never played a game for the Knicks. So like I guess it's more like I'm not sure why he's our backup color commentator. I'll leave it at that. Thanks, Isaac. See how I'm trying to be politically correct? And that is it. Okay. Andrew, you want to get on here before we get at it?
Sure. What's up?
I don't really know. Yeah, I'm just so annoyed, man.
Yeah. All good things come to an end, but this team, like you said, has dropped the ball like this before. What I am worried about, and this is Busy had said something about this, I think either in the playback comments or one comment section, that like this team has been adversity tested a lot this year. And like when the last 8-game winning streak happened, and then it was followed by a 5-game losing streak, and then it was winning 6 out of 7. Then they lost Mitch, and it was losing 4 in a row. And the swings of an NBA season that exist, I'm still confident that when Jalen Brunson comes back, this little rest that they have after the West Coast trip will do them all really well, and that there is another high swing that will exist, even if, you know, it is now conceivable that they can lose a game in the Josh Hart era.
Yeah, it is conceivable, and I do just think, like, look, this team has played great on the road all year long.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I'm not going to sit here and be, afraid of they're tied for the most road wins in the league with Boston. So credit to them for that. So I'm not going to sit here and be fearful of the West Coast road trip. That said, like, I'm not saying Sacramento's a must-win game. I'm not saying the Clippers are a must-win game, but, like, they would do well to win one of those 2 games.
Go 2-2 on this trip.
I said 2. That's
go
what
2-2 on this trip.
Go 2-2 on the trip. I don't even really care which are the 2. Go 2-2 on the trip. Come back home, and it gets a little bit. It doesn't get easy, but it gets more manageable after that. And then you want to just put yourself in position for those. And I've said it. I've referenced it a few times. Those last 8 games. Those last 8 games are manageable. I know there's a Miami game in there. I know there's a Cleveland game in there. I know there's a Washington game in there. That, like, Washington's probably going to be playing their butts off at that point. But, like, those are manageable games down the stretch. So
Saturday, Sunday next weekend is their last back-to-back of the season.
Yeah, they're going to get some rest here because, again, the schedule lightens up. They're going to have some stretches where they just don't play, a couple of different stretches where they have multiple nights off. So, yeah, we'll see. It's just, it's annoying.
Yeah,
it's annoying.
I'm going to drive your point home real quick because they have this 4-game road trip. Then they have 3 nights off. Then they have Denver, Minnesota, Miami is a Saturday, Monday, Wednesday. Then they play Orlando on a Thursday. Then they have Friday, Saturday, Sunday off before. That's the part of that 8 games in a row. Those final 8 games you said. So yeah, schedule lightens up. Plenty of opportunity for load management when you don't have a game. You just
survive it.
All that's true.
you would have liked to bank one more.
You would have.
That's
It's an
all.
important reminder you can lose to anybody.
You could lose to anyone.
And
There
I'm
you go.
sure
All right.
Tibbs will be able to use that. We have another one snuck in.
I'm sure. I'll be curious. Oh, here we go. Red Sarachek with another one. Analogy of the night brought to you by Just Rosenblum, not Weiss. This game was like eating 5-day-old leftovers. Not great, but it won't kill you. I eat 5-day-old leftovers depending on what they are.
Yeah, I got a Factor box today. By the way, factor.com/filmschool50. You get 50% off your first box if you want to check it out. So I no longer need to go looking for leftovers, but yeah, I'm not against or above eating leftovers.
Good analogy.
There you go.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you tuning in after a disappointing game. Remember, if you haven't already done so, like this video. If you are not subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel. Be back with more funny games late at night or early in the morning, I guess would be more appropriate, after the Kings game on Thursday. So see you then.